flare. Geeks. So, has anybody seen anything interesting in the sky or have any astrophotos to share?
Dave Noble.
Dave Noble?
Dave's
Can you-
here. Yeah, I was just trying to think of trying to bring it up. So on my way home from the event, if you saw it in the email, on the way home from the event at the Cranbrook Institute of Science, I caught a meteor on my dash cam, which I thought was
Get
kind of cool.
out.
I was talking with my buddy Mike out in California, and we're talking about like football scores. And I'm like, dude, I just saw a shooting star. I was like a little kid. I was so excited. I can try and bring up that
That is
video,
so cool.
and then the other night I have some Wise cameras around the house. I pointed them at the sky, and I caught four on it that I got recorded because I was streaming on TikTok at the same time. So if you have somebody else, go ahead. It's gonna take me a minute to find them and share them.
Yeah, if you can find them. Like, anybody else have anything?
So, Comet, I believe it's C2025 K1 Atlas. I didn't have any photos of it, but it is appearing to disintegrate or separate into multiple chunks.
K1 Atlas?
I think it's K1 Atlas.
The one that everybody's talking about, yeah.
No.
Right there, see right
It's a
there.
different one.
That one? Yeah, breaks
I'm
apart.
getting photos of it from the northern.
Putting a
hemisphere.
link in chat here, what we're looking at here.
So that might be an interesting comet. It's not as bright as the lemon comet that we saw about a month, 6 weeks ago.
So I can try and share real quick. I got one of them up.
Okay.
So remember, this is going to be this is recorded from a TikTok video. So hopefully I can share a window. Can I share a window? Here we go. All right, now I'm gonna turn the sound down because I'm just kind of narrating. So let me know if you can see that.
You can see the picture.
All right, that's just a still. So there's four in here. Three of them are small. The last one is the best one. So keep an eye on it. There'll be one. Just look, follow the arrow. There's one. Here comes another. They're little ones. Are you seeing them?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
This is with a dash cam?
No, this is from the Wise camera.
Oh, okay.
Here, this is the best one coming up. This was the best one. That was a good one.
Wow.
Let me I'll bring up the dash cam one too. Hang on a second. Let me stop sharing.
Diane and I were coming home from an event at the same time that Dave was coming home from the Cranbrook event, and we saw the same bullseye. So over Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. So it was pretty cool to get to see an instant replay thanks to Dave.
Oh yeah, I'm having a blast with it. How do I stop sharing? Did I stop yet?
I just put the
Okay, thank you.
space.com image up here about comets C 2025 K1 Atlas breaking apart.
Okay, and then while I'm pulling up the other one, I'm gonna find it. Bob, you turned me on to that NASA eyes site. I had no clue. I have shared that with so many people.
I really want to make like a postcard or something to hand out at events because I've been showing that like crazy to people. So I will show everyone here because you mentioned it. If you go and just type NASA eyes into your browser.
Where's that video?
I got to make the postcard. I'm really surprised NASA doesn't have it. So this is NASA Eyes on the Solar System. I am not sharing it, but it's an interactive 3D website. It works on a phone, tablet, and anything that runs a browser, and it has 302 planets, 60 dwarf planets and moons, comets, and 170 spacecraft, including historic mission recreations. And this is just you could spend hours playing with this thing, and I'm really glad you're sharing that, Dave. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, especially when like I said, I stream on TikTok, and I've told so many people, and many of them most of the people that follow me are into astronomy and astrophotography, and they love it. There's a bunch of people out there that do this. And when I showed them that, a lot of them didn't, only a couple knew about it. Some did not.
I just shared that link in chat. The link in chat is the main site. There are actually several different apps. The Eyes on the Solar System is the interactive solar system. They've got one for asteroids. They've got one for Earth science. They've got one for exoplanets. There's just tons of apps. They're very cool. And you've already paid for them. So
And one thing I did was I mapped out 3i Atlas to like where it's the closest point. Like it was December 19th is when it said it was closest. So I took a still image of that and I share that with people. Okay, it's not going to hit Earth. It's already past our orbit.
I get that question all when I talk about asteroids. Is it going to hit the Earth?
Yeah.
Not that one, but someone is. One just hit the Earth now. One just hit the Earth now.
Did anybody see the aurora about 2 weeks ago? Michigan was mostly clouded.
Yeah, I mean, I missed it.
My daughter's at Michigan Tech. She got some decent pictures.
Oh,
You did at Tech?
Uh,
That's where I went.
I sort of went searching the next day, the day after everybody got it, because it was supposed to come back. And if you found a hole in the sky, it was up there.
I'll
Lots of
see it
red.
one of these times.
It was all
right.
not quite bright as the
Oh,
day
can I?
before.
That's not it.
So
That's a street light. That's just a street light.
We're showing them here. This is what Dale is
Oh.
showing.
Dryden. I drove about an hour over towards Flint because it looked like west of Flint. There was a wall cloud of all the clouds, a wall. We stopped in Oxford for ice cream and we could see it there, but it was too much light. We drove to some cornfields, it clouded up again, and then I said, it's about midnight, 11 o'clock, I want to get home, it takes about an hour. On our way home, we drove through Metamora and Dryden up by the Seven Ponds area. And that's fairly
Bob?
dark there. And
Could
Got
you
lucky.
turn the computer around because we can hardly hear Dale?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't bring the silly microphones. Well, I think Dale just completed what he was saying. So,
Jonathan, it was in Dryden, which is it's up near 69, small little town.
Seven Ponds Seven Ponds.
Yeah, near Seven Ponds Nature Center. There was a lot of clouds, so very fleeting. A lot of other people, Michigan's pretty blessed with aurora, but a lot of other people in the country got a pretty good chance to see an aurora, 2 weeks ago. So
A friend of mine that I met through TikTok who lives up in Genesee, and she's got the C-Star S50. She had some nice shots.
So this one had a lot of reds in it. Isn't necessarily common.
Do you see my video queued up, Bob?
yes.
All right, I'm going to spare you my excitement and mute the audio. So it's going to be, if you can see my mouse, it's going to be up in here. I don't know if you see my mouse or not.
Right.
So where the hell's play?
This is
So
the dash.
This is the dash cam, yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny to hear it, but there it is. Oh, I guess it was lower. It was here. Did you see it? It's going to replay. It's
Sure
going to be right
did.
here. I think I looped it.
There was one time I was coming back home after visiting family in Flint for Christmas.
Well, maybe
And
not.
my wife and two kids in the back seat, and I'm driving and I see green, flash, flash. I'm like, wow, did you see? And look back, they're all sleeping. I'm like, no, I'm the only one who saw it.
There it is. All right. Stop sharing.
All righty. So
So that was pretty exciting since we didn't see any there at Cranbrook, and it was cloudy, most of the time anyway. So
how geez, we hadn't gone through did I take that out of here? And I didn't have officer reports in here, and I don't know why. It looks like that's been just taken out of my agenda, but anyway, so then let's just do officer reports then. I honestly I don't know why this is not in my agenda. So I've been ridiculously busy, and my granddaughter showed up after 2 weeks, and she saw me, screamed, and jumped into my arms and absolutely melted my heart. That was great. But I have not done any astronomy. I've been working on this lecture for 2 weeks straight. Dale, anything you got to say? I know Dale wants presentations. Think he's leaving us in a good position for next year.
Hi, everyone. Yes, we need presentations. I'm pretty much booked up through, I think, April. But after that, I need presentations. And I'd just like to say, at our next meeting at Cranbrook on December the 1st, we have a short presentation by Tom Hagen on radio astronomy, which I think he's interested in getting into. And then our main presentation is going to be by Buddy Stark on Brahe and Kepler, two very different personalities and life circumstances. Then, just so everybody's clear, we will not be back here a month from now. We never have a Macomb meeting in December. Instead, we have the banquet, which will be on December the 4th, just 3 days after the Cranbrook meeting. And the speaker for that will be Glenn Swanson. His title is The Making of an Enterprise, How NASA and their Aerospace Industry Helped Create Star Trek.
And Glenn is a NASA historian, and I'll be actually mentioning him in my lecture tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. David, how's the Treasury going?
So Treasury, we got lots of cash. Somebody go buy something. We got 20,000 in the checking account. There's no balance on the credit card, so if you want me to show the credit card anywhere, let me know. I'll do it.
No, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Hey, you need a new dome? I'll get the card out. No problem. PayPal, we got $323 in there. Cash box, I'm walking around with about $500 and some loose change. So we got cash. We got money.
All right, let's spend some of that.
Wow.
Riyadh, how's the observatory going?
Oh, it's going great, thank you. And I'm working on spending some of that money, don't worry. All right. So if you would like me to give the report right now.
Yeah, just go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Are you done, David? I'm sorry. I assume he's done.
Yeah.
Okay. Last open house was on October 25th. We started around 6:23. We had a number of WAS members that showed up and visitors and also scouts. Bob Berta gave the scouts a presentation and we let them look through our telescope. It was clear sky. Also, we had Ken Lord outside using the 10-inch Dobsonian. We saw Comet Lemon with it and a number of deep sky objects. Also Tina was there she helped out with the handouts and or kind of organizing people a little bit. So we have good flow through the observatory, as well as people were outside setting up with their own telescopes, including a DIY radio telescope, which I think it's something we should definitely look into for us as well. We used the 8-inch refractor to observe the moon, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, a number of deep sky objects, as well as a few double stars. And we closed the observatory around 11:50 when everybody left. Next open house is this Saturday. It starts at 5:30. So Saturday, November 22nd, starting at 5:30. Hope to see everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things I'd like to do is I just got the International Occultation Observation Association's software working, and it lets you find asteroid occultations over a certain location. I would actually like to observe some of those through Stargate. Now, if we're going to submit those to IOTA, we've got to have timestamp information and video and stuff like that. But seriously, I just like to see one first, you know. So I'm going to come up with a couple dates, and I'll get you guys some dates, and I'm hoping to have an asteroid occultation party out there at Stargate sometime. I think that'd be
Sounds good.
very cool.
Thank you.
Is there a an Alcon observing program for that? I'm not an Alcon, an astronomical league. Is there? I wonder if there's a program for that. Anyway, let's see. All right, so it is 7:20. Yes, we got 4 how many left?
We got four.
4 of them. We got 4 calendars here or 4 calendars left.
Four calendars here, and the other ones can get through from Dale.
So
I have 4 here.
we've got our astrophoto calendars for 2026 available here for what, 20 bucks?
$20.
20 bucks. There's 4 of them. They're going fast, and we'll have more at Cranbrook. Actually, get one of those too. All right, so why don't we take a snack break?
Wait a minute.
What?
What
do you got?
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just to let Dale Teamy, do you got a piece of paper and a pencil? I got some dates for you.
Dale's not actually on the call, I don't think.
Okay,
This is
well,
Jonathan running it on his behalf.
as long as we got this documented. I met over at the Royal Oak Historical Society, the executive director of the Selfridge Military Air Museum. His name is Stephen Morozek. The air show dates are the following weekend after Memorial Day. So they are May 30th and May 31st. If you will remember, last year we volunteered. Okay, you got it. Cool.
Right there.
I was told that the Air Force Thunderbirds and the Navy Blue Angels will not be scheduled performers, and they are still working on the lineup. But there is group tours of the Air Museum if people are interested. So if you want to go, let me know. I will contact Steve. The museum is currently closed. They close, they will be open in April. And group tours are available on Tuesdays and Fridays, but knowing that Riyadh and Dale Teamy are on the other side of the state, if they're interested, I'll do my best to try to get the Sunday before a Cranbrook meeting. So that way Dale can come in early. Selfridge Air National Guard is a secure military installation. So there's mandatory background checks in order to get onto the base. So, and pre-approvals are done like 7 days in advance. So depending on the size of the group, I'm more than happy to help facilitate, you know, getting us in and pre-approve before the event happens. Okay?
Awesome.
So food for
Yes.
thought.
Hilarious that she brought that up, because when I was at the event at Macomb, the guys that did the STEAM Expo at the last year's Selfridge came up to me and said, "You guys going to be at this year?" I'm like, didn't know there was one. Let me know. And he said, yeah. So I said, can we get in the bunker this time so we're not out in the wind being blown all over the hell? So, but yeah, it was it was a great event. We had a lot of people. I think we should go there. But yeah, I'd really like to be inside next time.
And they treated us volunteers very well.
Yeah, they did. That was a very good event. Okay, so let's take a break for about 20 minutes, which puts us at 1:45, and we will reconvene in 20 minutes after a snack break and bio break and have the feature presentation. So
Sorry, Bob, just before everybody leaves, I just wanted to give an update on a collaboration that we have been doing with the Media City Film Festival and Trina Self Projects. There's an internationally recognized filmmaker named Kevin Jerome Everson, who is going to be making a film of a celestial event to be determined later. So Diane and I got to attend a showing of his film of the 2019 total solar eclipse in Chile at the Detroit Public Library on Tuesday. And Adrian Bradley and I got to see his film of a partial solar eclipse from Virginia at the new lab next to Michigan Central Station on Saturday night. And so he is going to be shooting another one of these using 16 millimeter film. And right now, Stargate is the leading candidate for him to be doing the film at. So we may see ourselves on IMDb again. So there will be more events happening with him over the next year. He's expecting to be done with the film sometime in the middle of 2026, maybe towards the end of 2026. So I'm trying to get him as a speaker for one of our upcoming meetings next year. And
Nice.
I'll keep everybody updated. But it's they have been really good about shouting out the astronomy club, and I've talked to about between Adrian and Diana and I, we've talked to about 25 people who want to at least start attending Stargate open houses. So who knew that the film community was so interested in astronomy?
Wow, do they know about astronomy at the
That's
beach?
it. Yeah, they were actually, several of them were at Astronomy at the Beach this year. So
Really awesome. Hey, more publicity, the better.
alrighty, that's all
Thanks.
I had. Thank
All
you.
right, so 20-minute break, and this time it's going to be 10 minutes too. So reconvene at 10:02 for our future presentation. Go take a bio break and get a munchie, and go watch some space bites on YouTube and get the latest space news. We're Scott Manley. We'll be back in 20 minutes.
You are still muted, just so you know. Now you see, Bob, now you don't.
3-minute warning.
The number of those is now small and interesting, but.
Yeah.
I have to-
Yeah, a couple minutes. 10-2. Or-
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
Actually. It's very good, Bob.
Pardon me?
It's gonna be good.
Hope so. I have, you know how I give these presentations, right? I have a lot of slides.
How many do you have?
Hmm? How many do I think it's 176.
Really?
That's how I do presentations.
I know the saying.
I just
What was my?
inundate people with images.
Like C-SPAR presentation, like, what's the last an hour? I think it was like an hour, 35 minutes or something.
Oh.
You had to skip, you got strong. I gave the presentation again. That was on, so I said it will feel based on that. Wow, that's a big set.
Whoever's talking, we can't hear them.
And they bounced a lot.
Oh, there's a lot of discussion going on around here.
I think that's later.
All right, Dale, let's do it.
Okay, let's get the show on the road. Bob Trembley to this organization doesn't really need an introduction. He is our
I'm
president.
one of those now.
Unfortunately, he's term limited. So has to go out, stop being president at the end of this year. And I recently said to him, I know you're into astronomy from way back into the Apollo days. And I know you're into science fiction from way back. So how about doing a talk on the interplay, for you at least, of science fiction and astronomy and space related stuff? It wasn't hard to twist his arm or anything. Right? Often I have to encourage people a little, but it didn't take any of that with Bob. So Bob, we're interested to hear what you have to say.
Thanks. All right. So, hi everyone. I titled this thing a personal journey because I'm going to be taking you pretty much through how I experienced all these things and the timings and stuff. So, first of all, let's do some definitions. Astronomy, the scientific study of the cosmos, right? We can all agree on that. Well, science fiction, well, I looked up definition of science fiction and I got like 5 different answers. And so it's harder to define. And one definition is a genre of storytelling that uses futuristic, speculative, or scientific themes such as advanced technology, time travel, or space exploration as a framework to explore imaginative concepts and human experiences. Okay, but I liked one better. Fiction-based or imagined future, scientific or technological advances, and major social and environmental changes, frequently portraying space or time travel or life on other planets. It says, if I can classify things as imagined as science fiction, that gives me a whole lot more content for this lecture, so I'm going with that one. So, since ancient times, excuse me, humans have looked at the cosmos and wondered if there's life out there. And sometimes that belief had disastrous results for your well-being. In this Greek language novel called True History from the 2nd century AD, the author and his fellow travelers are unexpectedly transported to the moon by a whirlwind. Really strong whirlwind. There they encounter various non-human intelligent beings that become involved in a war between the king of the moon and the king of the sun over the colonization of Venus. My wager goes on the sun. So the first time in this 18-minute short film, A Trip to the Moon from 1902, one of the earliest known depictions of another view of a planetary body. It definitely had a style, and it also had non-human aliens. And apparently it has not been forgotten because this was a Halloween post I saw on Facebook this year. Flash Gordon from 1934 there featured aliens and a rogue planet years before I was born. Proposed by physicist Enrico Fermi in 1950, the Fermi paradox questions why, given the vastness of the universe, we haven't detected any signs of alien civilizations, leading to the famous questions, where is everybody? The Fermi paradox has been referenced in countless science fiction stories I've listened to. Discussing the Fermi paradox could take a long time, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube about it, and it might make a good presentation by in itself. The Thing from Another World, the 1950s movie, a United States Air Force crew of scientists find a crashed flying saucer frozen in the Arctic ice and a humanoid body nearby. Returning to the remote Arctic research outpost with the body still in a block of ice, they are forced to defend themselves against the still alive and malevolent plant-based alien when it accidentally thaws out. I can't actually say I saw this version of The Thing when I was a child, but I know people who did. Yep, James Arness. The space age officially started on October 4th, 1957 with the launch of Soviet Union Sputnik 1, 3 years before I was born. The 1958 movie, The Blob, was one I probably saw way too many times as a boy. An alien gelatinous creature arrives on Earth inside a meteorite, which crashes near a small town in rural Pennsylvania. It then proceeds to eat everyone in sight. The movie scared the pants off me, and I was scared to go down in the basement for years because I was sure there was one of those down there. I love how the meteorite has craters on it. That's because meteorites look like that, right? Explorer 1 was the first U.S. satellite launched on January 31, 1958. It discovered the Van Allen radiation belts and marked the beginning of the U.S. space age. The laser was developed in 1960, the year I was born. It has revolutionized telecommunications and manufacturing, and I wanted to build one of these so bad when I was a teenager. I couldn't get the ruby. I almost had everything else except the ruby. So the lasers have appeared in one form or another in countless science fiction movies and books. I actually saw a really interesting expose on space weaponry and how lasers are really inefficient energy-wise and projectile weapons are better in space. So the laser has also revolutionized astronomy, and here we see 4 telescopes of the European Southern Observatory protecting Earth from alien invaders, or using lasers for adaptive optics, one or the other. So adaptive optics is a pretty interesting technique, precisely deforming mirrors in order to compensate for light distortion. This would make for a great lecture, again, in its own right. Voyage to the bottom of the sea, or as I like to call it, voyage to the bottom of the barrel. In this 1961 disaster film, a really cool looking state-of-the-art nuclear submarine called the Seaview was in the Arctic Ocean, and after completing a mission, it surfaces to discover that the sky is on fire. Why is the sky on fire, you might ask? Because a meteor shower pierced the Van Allen radiation belts and caused it to burn. The Van Allen radiation belts caught fire. Yeah. Okay, and the plan to fix this problem is to throw a nuke at it. Yeah, so just for your information, the Van Allen radiation belts are huge. and they're not flammable. So the space race started when I was a boy. The space race between the US and the Soviet Union was going full throttle when I was a boy. And from a perspective of a 6 or an 8-year-old boy, launches seem to take so long between them. You know, why does it take so long? And I watched launches on a 13-inch black and white TV. One of the things that again, this would also make for a great presentation is the artwork of the 1950s and 60s, the space art. One of them is Chesley Bonestell, and he had stuff that I saw in magazines everywhere, scientific stuff. He was on Collier's magazine, and he did stuff, astronomy pictures. This is the first time I saw a depiction of Saturn's rings, what it looked like in there. There's just amazing stuff all over my childhood. His artwork appeared in Time Life publications and Collier's, countless others. The Twilight Zone. This was on when I was a boy, and I watched so many of this. One of the most famous episodes is To Serve Man. These aliens show up and they give a book, and they're convincing humans to go with them, and only to find out at the very end that it's a cookbook. So yeah, that was a surprise. And my mother-in-law said I could not believe that when I saw that on TV. I did not see that first run, but I know people who did. The Outer Limits was another TV series, black and white from my youth. It had plenty of aliens and alien locations and weird situations. It was a very cool show. Now we're getting into monster movies. The Day of the Triffids, 1963. Most of the people in the world are blinded after a meteor shower, because that happens. And an aggressive plant species starts killing everyone. So yeah, the book was made 1951. The movie was 1963. So aggressive alien plants that kill you, yeah. Yay. Doctor Who, although Doctor Who has been running since I was a child, I've only started watching it in 2005. Doctor Who had space travel, time travel, technological marvels, historical figures, evil robots, and aliens galore. And there's been a lot of doctors over the years. One of my favorites, and I'm not sure why, but Lost in Space. Starting off as a black and white, the series starred the Robinson family embarking on a mission to colonize Alpha Centauri. So at least they had a sensible destination, right? Dr. Smith originally was a spy, and he sabotaged the Jupiter 2. But during the course of the series, he evolved into a comedic, cowardly, and selfish character who frequently gets into trouble, leading to numerous adventures. And one of his favorite phrases is, "Oh, the pain, the pain." I asked my wife, I said, "What is the one episode of Lost in Space that you remember?" The one where Dr. Smith turns into a plant creature. And she says, "Yep, countless neurons of mine are being wasted hoarding the memory of this." Johnny Quest. When I was a young boy, Johnny Quest was one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons. It had some pretty advanced technology, especially for 1964. It had hover carts, jet packs, video phones, enormous ray guns, and it had some fantastic plots and its fair share of monsters. It also aired before the network censors decided no more killings in cartoons because, man, a lot of people died in this cartoon, and pretty horribly too, like fried by invisible electric monsters, eaten by Komodo dragons, attacked by pterodactyls, beaten to death by mummies, and more. It had everything a young boy wanted. So So the first episode of this was The Mystery of the Lizard Men. The crew's in the Sargasso Sea where they discover a foreign power is using a hidden base to conduct laser experiments, right? This is 1964, not long after the laser. So notice the giant turret-mounted laser we've got here. So yeah, so they're conducting laser experiments and they want to destroy the first man to the moon rocket, which is scheduled to launch that same day. The laser is then turned against the enemy base and the quest team witnesses the rocket successfully launch into space. So yay, they went to the moon. This is 1963, long before they went to the moon. Johnny Quest did not have any aliens or alien spacecraft. It was more like a spy and mystery type stuff. But I loved that show. Star Trek, on the other hand, which ran when I was a boy, had its share of aliens. It had a huge influence on me as a boy, and boy, did I ever want to get beamed up. It had a lot of advanced technology, so much so that the phrase technobabble was used to describe how characters talk about it. Star Trek took care of the language problem by having what's called the universal translator that could translate between alien races, which is actually a plot point in a couple other things in the future I'll be talking about here. Star Trek had giant space amoebas. And Star Trek covered a wide range of subjects and broke a lot of norms. And recently it's been accused of being woke, but honestly, the entire franchise has always promoted progressive social values. If you haven't realized that, you haven't been paying attention. So one of the things in Star Trek is called the Prime Directive. In Star Trek, Earth belongs to the United Federation of Planets. Starfleet is responsible for deep space exploration, scientific research, defense, and diplomacy. Starfleet's Prime Directive prohibits members of Starfleet from interfering with the natural development of alien civilizations. Now, that being said, Captain Kirk, Jean-Luc Picard, Catherine Janeway, Benjamin Solo all willingly broke the Prime Directive and faced no real punishment, so there's that. The Federation does monitor pre-warp races, often covertly, and this practice is essential for gathering information and anticipating when civilizations will independently develop warp capabilities and can then be a problem for you. So they're watching, and when warp drive is developed, that's when you get contacted. So we need warp drive. Star Trek, one of the first times the term astrobiologist was used in a film or video was in a Star Trek episode in 1968. And well, there was a couple episodes in Star Trek where the crew encountered asteroids, and they looked kind of weird at the time, but we hadn't flown by any yet, so we didn't really know what they looked like, and all we had was Chelsea Bonestell's space art. So there's your asteroid from Star Trek. Star Trek, the old series, the original series, was remastered in 2006, and all the space scenes were recreated using modern computer graphics. Scenes on screens were cleaned up, some were given backgrounds. The music was entirely re-recorded, and everything was upscaled, including the coffee stains on Spock's tunic, which they had to clean up. So this was this one scene here you're seeing is my favorite episode, the Doomsday Machine, and the remastered version of the Doomsday Machine is just fantastic. Forbidden Planet. This is a wonderful movie from my youth and one that still holds up to this day. This movie stars Leslie Nielsen of Naked Gun fame in a dramatic role as a starship captain. The events take place on the planet Altair 4. And while looking out at that window, the first officer there says, the Lord sure makes some beautiful worlds, which indicates to me that he's seen several of them. This image here was created by me using Space Engine. So, unfortunately, there are no known exoplanets orbiting Altair, but we didn't know about exoplanets until 1992. So, in Forbidden Planet, We, the humans, are the aliens with the flying saucer going to the other planet. So the spaceship that we went in there was a flying saucer. They find running machines from a long vanished civilization. What you're seeing here is one of 9,220-mile cubic thermonuclear reactors. So there's a lot of power there. And soon after, all hell breaks loose. Yeah, this is the monster. And if you think, wow, that looks like Disney animation, Disney loaned them an animator to do that. There was a robot in this movie that actually appeared in a Twilight Zone episode, which I don't remember at all, but I found that out, and that's interesting. Robbie the Robot, very famous. He also appeared in a Lost in Space episode, which that I do remember. When Worlds Collide, so there's plenty of SF movies to go around when I was a kid, a lot related to space in one way or another. When worlds collide, the Earth faces a coming destruction of a rogue star called Belus. And in a desperate effort to build a space ark to transport the group of men and women to Belus's single planet Zyra. So, wow, this movie really tries to be serious, but man, there's a lot of points of failure in this space ark plan. And actually, when I was looking at this, I saw people are building models of that ship. It's really crazy. Okay, now we get to some of the ones I should have put a splat on. The first spaceship on Venus is a German and Polish collaborative film where an international crew lands on Venus to discover it was destroyed by a war. Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women. Yes, I remember this movie. More neurons wasted. Astronauts landing on Venus encounter dangerous creatures and almost meet some sexy Venusian women who like to sunbathe in hip-hugging, skin-tight pants. On Venus. Yeah. Oh, there were so many bad SF movies when I was a kid. Like Journey to the Seventh Planet. Earth sends a 5-man team to explore the frozen planet Uranus, only to find a temperate forest with sultry women from their past on it. So here's more women, whatever. I don't know what the creators thought a gas giant was, but you're not landing on Uranus. Sigh. So I don't know when I first became aware of Percival Lowell and this belief that there were canals on Mars, probably when I was a kid, definitely when I joined this club. But this is one of the rare cases where scientific belief turns out to have really been science fiction all along. Sorry, Percival. Mars is a recurring theme for several movies when I was a kid, like Robinson Crusoe on Mars, Stranded on Mars, with only a monkey as his companion, an astronaut must figure out how to find oxygen, water, and food on a lifeless planet. Yeah. I remember him living in a cave and having problem with oxygen, which yeah, okay.
I like how that was guaranteed to be scientifically accurate.
Oh yeah.
Scientifically
Oh
accurate.
gosh. The original War of the Worlds was written by H.G. Wells in 1898, before the turn of the century, but Earth barely survives an invasion by Martians who are more intelligent and have better technology, but they're defeated by simple Earth microbes. I can't count the number of times I saw this George Pal version of this movie. It was dramatized in a 1938 radio program directed and narrated by Orson Welles that reportedly caused panic among listeners who did not know the events were fictional. I can't actually remember when I heard about this, but I've known about it seemingly forever. So, War of the Worlds has had several different movie and TV adaptations and artwork over the ages. There's just a lot of stuff, and I actually this one, the one right there, that BBC one, that looks really good, and that is set in the actual time period as opposed to 1950s or the Steven Spielberg one, which is modern times. The BBC one is set in the time period it was written. Same movie, different title. For me, it was 5 Million Years to Earth. I found out much later it had been renamed from the British version, Quatermass and the Pit. This movie freaked me out, and Connie said it still freaks her out. She said it was on Channel 7 at 4 p.m. after school. So, excavating for a subway in London, a buried ship is found. It's originally thought to be something left over from World War II. Eventually, they get inside and find long dead insectoid aliens, so not World War II. The ship literally comes alive and melts this poor fellow on the left there. And then all hell breaks loose. Living ships appear in numerous science fiction novels and TV series. 1968, I'm a young boy in Florida. I went to see Planet of the Apes with my parents and my aunt in the theater. They don't like science fiction. It starred Roddy McDowall and Charlton Heston, who were two big names at the time. I don't know what they were expecting. But astronauts from Earth land on a mission to another star, crash land on an unknown planet populated by intelligent apes. Unfriendly intelligent apes, for the most part. Yes, I do not think this movie was what my relatives were expecting, and nobody expected the surprise ending. So my question was, okay, so they're on Earth then, right? Did nobody look up into the sky and see that? Because if they'd have seen that, then they'd have known right where they were. But no, the plot says because of the war or whatever that caused the issues on the Planet of the Apes, the sky was constantly cloud covered and the moon and stars were not visible. So there you go. No astronomy going on in the Planet of the Apes. 2001: A Space Odyssey, the other big movie from 1968. Wikipedia says the film is noted for its scientifically accurate depiction of spaceflight, pioneering special effects, and ambiguous themes. Yes, very much so. If you know anything about orbital mechanics, say by playing something like Kerbal Space Program, you'll know that the depiction of the Pan Am spaceplane rendezvous with the space station was absolutely spot on. I've heard stories of people that do know orbital mechanics just going up like, oh my God, they got it right. And it is. It's really amazing scene. And the Clavius moon base was really cool. And notice it's in a protected area, protected from meteorite impacts. Yay. So 2001 predicted staring at your tablet while eating. We had, this is a meme I saw on Facebook. It's pretty darn funny. So here they are, people, and they had tablets. They're eating their meal. It also predicted AI is going crazy and killing everyone. So I'm hoping that prediction doesn't come true. Okay, this movie was made way before computer graphics and before the requirement for warnings about flashing lights. The book does a much better job of explaining what's actually going on rather than that confusing and nauseating light show at the end of the movie. There, I said it. I don't like the end of the movie. I read the book and I said, and the book explained what's going on. I'm like, why didn't they do that? Honestly, well, I'll be talking about Contact, but Contact had a scene where they're going through a portal network, and I'm like, that's what should have been in 2001. Arthur C. Clarke, the author of 2001, although he's not the originator of the concept of geostationary satellites, he is one of the first ones to say that they could be used for intercontinental telecommunications. And this is one of the many instances of science fiction becoming reality. The concept was published in a paper called Wireless World in October of 1945. And he talks about extraterrestrial relays. And I actually found this PDF online. It's pretty cool. I continued looking down the PDF, and in that issue is a discussion about using radar for peacetime civilian aviation. So this was 1945. We did not have radar for civilian aviation. I thought that was pretty interesting. 1970, the first science fiction book I can remember reading was Ringworld by Larry Niven. Ringworld is a megastructure 1 million miles wide and approximately the diameter of Earth's orbit encircling a sunlight star. It rotates to provide artificial gravity, and its habitable inner surface is approximately 3 million Earths. It has a breathable atmosphere that's optimal for humans. This was, he had a couple novels about this. I'll be talking more about megastructures later. The ring world, like the ring world, a Dyson sphere is also a megastructure. It is constructed around a star partially or completely. Freeman Dyson proposed the idea in 1960. He was inspired by the idea of similar structures in Olaf Stapleton's 1937 novel Star Maker. Dyson's work was a thought experiment about how advanced civilizations might harvest a star's entire energy output. The Dyson Sphere program is a computer game from 2021 where you build a Dyson Sphere. It takes the resources of several planets. Dyson spheres have been suggested as the reason we've seen some stars dim over the last couple of years. It's been found out to be dust, but it wasn't Dyson spheres, but we're still looking. The Kzinti. These are an alien race of large cat-like creatures introduced in Larry Niven's Ringworld. They're fairly bad-tempered. The story written by Larry Niven was then adapted for the Star Trek animated series and featured his Kzinti, and they also appear in the more modern Star Trek Lower Decks animated series. The first story that dealt with Kzinti is humans on a ship with a fusion drive encounter them and get attacked, and they don't have any weapons, so they turn their ship around and turn their fusion drive on them and slice them apart. So, yikes! Engines as weapons. The Andromeda Strain. This movie is suspenseful and scary. In the Andromeda Strain, a deadly extraterrestrial microorganism is brought to Earth by a returning satellite, leading to a team of scientists working in a secret underground lab to study and contain it. Ugh, that movie gives me the creeps. In 1972, Apollo 16 astronaut John Young used a telescope to photograph star clouds, nebulae, and Earth's outermost atmosphere from the surface of the moon. It was the first telescope used to make astronomical observations from the surface of another planetary body. And I didn't even know about this until I was doing this lecture. I don't know why I didn't know about this, but Silent Running from 1972. All Earth's forests on Earth, or future Earth, have become extinct from careless environmental exploitation. And as many specimens as possible have been preserved in a series of enormous greenhouse-like geodesic domes serving as closed ecological systems attached to large cargo spaceships at Saturn. Why you'd put them at Saturn, I don't know, but the robots in this were fantastic. They did a really good job at this in 72. Rendezvous with Rama is a novel from 1973 by Arthur C. Clarke. It's set in the 2030s, and the story involves a 50 by 20 kilometer cylindrical alien starship that enters the solar system, another megastructure. The story is told from the viewpoint of a group of human explorers who intercept this ship in an attempt to unlock its mysteries. The novel won a Hugo, Locus, and Nebula Awards upon its release, and is regarded as one of the cornerstones of Clarke's bibliography. Clark created a fictional space study program which detected Rama called Project Space Guard as a method of identifying near-Earth objects and on a Earth impact trajectory. In the novel, it was initiated in 2077. A real project called Space Guard was initiated in 1992, named after Clark's fictional project, and with the permission and encouragement of Clark. After interest in the dangers of asteroid strikes was heightened by a series of Hollywood disaster films, which I'll be talking about, the United States Congress gave NASA authorization and funding to support Space Guard. By 2017, there were a number of different efforts to detect potentially dangerous asteroids. This is a perfect example of science fiction becoming reality. And as on October 2017, an incoming interstellar object was discovered by Pan-STARRS, a system similar to Space Guard. Like Rama, the object had an unusually elongated shape. Before the official Hawaiian name Oumuamua was selected by the International Astronomical Union, a popular choice was Rama. The TV series The Star Lost is a Canadian series. I watched this as a kid. A malfunctioning multi-generational starship with domes called Earthship Arc 50 by 50. Let's see, 50 miles wide, 200 miles long, another megastructure. The ship contains dozens of biospheres, each kilometers across and housing different people of different cultures. So with that, there's an infinite number of stories available. Dark Star. In the mid-22nd century, mankind has begun to colonize interstellar space. Armed with artificial intelligence, thermostellar triggering devices, bombs which can talk and think, the scout ship Dark Star, with its crew of 5 and a sentient computer that manages the ship's systems, searches for unstable planets that might threaten future colonization. 20 Earth years into its mission, the crew aging only 3, the Dark Star is aging poorly and suffers from frequent malfunctions. The ship experiences radiation leaks, a hull breach that destroyed the living quarters and all the toilet paper. I saw Dark Star in the theater and laughed my butt off. It is a cult classic in the SF community. I went to Michigan Tech in 1974, shortly after Dark Star. They all knew about it. I immediately hooked up with the science fiction club. I'd found my people. Eventually, I became the science fiction club's president. Does that surprise anybody? The first year I went to college, let's see, it would have been the second month I was at my first year of college when I went to my first science fiction convention in Chicago. Oh boy. Science fiction conventions, or cons for short, maybe an unfortunate name, but that's what they're called. The events are hosted by SF fans for SF fans. They feature guests of honor, including authors, artists, and fans. Several conventions have guests of honor, panel discussions, and workshops cover a wide range of topics. Artwork is displayed in the art show. Many pieces can be bid on and go to auction. SF convention art shows are hilarious. Many cons have costume masquerade where people wear their own creations. From medieval to far future, I've seen some amazing costuming done. Authors will have autographing sessions, always free, as opposed to that other, more commercial media convention. I brought my scope to conventions and attended lectures about astronomy and space science and given those same lectures. There's room parties held by different groups promoting whatever it is they're interested in. There's typically a room showing movies around the clock. There's gaming rooms with all manner of tabletop role-playing games and other tabletop games. I've seen computer rooms with games galore. I've got a friend that runs an electronic labs where you can, solder and build blinkies and stuff. And there's something called the Huckster Room, which is a room where vendors are selling absolutely everything science fiction related. This is why I like science fiction conventions and really upset I wasn't able to go to it last week. Worldcon is the annual international science fiction convention. It's held somewhere in the world. It's a huge convention and known for hosting the Hugo Awards ceremony. The Worldcon location for the next year is bid on by the attendees. I have only attended a single Worldcon, and that was the one in 2000 in Chicago, and it was amazing. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hildebrandt artwork for The Lord of the Rings. There's a couple pictures that are just amazing. They had one of those there, and it was that tall. And from the door to here, I was just standing there going, I had no idea I was going right up to it looking. It was just amazing. But I've seen artwork they've got everything from space to fantasy, good to bad. Artwork's amazing. Conventions are amazing. A North American science fiction convention, or a NASFIC, is held in North America any year where Worldcon is held abroad, so that we poor sots that can't afford to fly overseas can go to a convention. DETCON 1 was the NASFIC in 2014. It was held here at the Rensen, and I was the science program chair. It was my job to find speakers, and I had several members of the WAS speak at this event. I had Mark Sykes give a talk about planetary defense and asteroid defense, and I had Brother Guy give a live talk via Skype from the Vatican Observatory Museum, and he showed where he studied meteorites at the time. And this was long before Zoom, and we had trouble getting the wireless, and boy, that was a thing. At hotels now, you just expect wireless, right? No, this was a chore to get this done. But that was really cool. That was literally one of the best conventions I've ever been at, and I helped put it on. Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction. American black and white science fiction comic magazine, published in 4 issues in 1975. It was one of the pulp SF of my time. The anthology featured original stories and literary adaptations by writers and artists, as well as nonfiction articles about science fiction and interviews with authors. The magazine introduced me to a lot of SF authors of the time. There are some really cool stories in there too. Base 1999, set in the year, 1999, right? Follows the 311 inhabitants of Moonbase Alpha, which is hurtling uncontrollably through space due to an explosion of nuclear waste stored on the moon's far side. The unwilling explorers meet several different alien races, I'm assuming in different star systems, because not around here. I don't know, whatever. I asked Google Gemini, it says, the amount of energy required to remove the sun from the Earth's orbit is far less than the energy required to destroy it outright. So somebody didn't do their homework. Did I watch it? Yeah, I watched it as a kid. Space 1999 did have a very well-designed spacecraft called the Eagle. The middle section here was modular, and you could put different things in there. It was just fantastic. It was very well designed. And then 1977, the space movie that changed everything. I was 17 years old in Star Wars, standing in line, and I saw it in the theater 21 times that summer. So let's talk about a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, shall we? Okay, so the next star over is far, far away, and a long time ago is pretty subjective. I mean, 50 years ago is a long time ago for me, and it doesn't say anything about another galaxy, so where is this actually taking place? The Death Star in Star Wars is another example of a megastructure, probably the first time the general public had ever seen or heard of one. Star Wars had tons of alien species, a lot more than I thought, and it spawned numerous sequels, prequels, books, toys, games, and heaven knows what else. The one thing that it did do, the Mandalorian, they started a new technique of using giant video screens to do the backgrounds, and it has just revolutionized the way they're making movies now. So 1977 movie Capricorn 1. A reporter discovers that a supposed Mars landing by a crewed mission to the planet has been faked by a conspiracy involving the government and, under duress, the crew themselves. Yeah, moving on. Heavy Metal Magazine. This is another one of those pulp magazines I got when I was a kid. This is an American science fantasy comic magazine, first published in 77. It is known primarily for its blend of dark fantasy, science fiction, erotica, teenager, remember, and steampunk comics. It's still around today, and there was a movie version of several of the stories. Traveler is a tabletop science fiction role-playing game where you are an explorer in a high-tech, far future time where space travel is commonplace and there are countless populated worlds. The original game was released in 77. I played the game in college and was a game master for a crew for several years after college. Has anybody heard of this? Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds. It's on YouTube. Go listen to it. Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds was released in 78. I was introduced to it by my roommates, who were all science fiction club members. This musical version has been a long time running stage play in England, and it's pretty cool. It's progressive. It's got the original one had the guy from the Moody Blues, and his name is escaping me right now, but it's seen several versions. It's really cool. It's the story of War of the Worlds set to music. Inherit the Stars is the first book Connie willingly read, and it's fantastic. Look at the praise heaped on top of that. Let's say pure science fiction. Arthur Clarke, move over. So the story presents a scientific mystery where a team of scientists uses methods similar to detectives to solve the puzzle of a prehistoric advanced human civilization found on the moon, which left no trace on the Earth. I think it's the perfect example of the use of the scientific method. The MTU Science Fiction Club liked the author so much, we brought him up to give a talk at an event. And Connie and I kibitzed with the author at numerous conventions for years afterwards. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. In this, no, I'm sorry, no, the wrong one. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In this cinematic alien contact movie, a poor sot's life is turned upside down by an encounter with aliens who implant a compulsion for him to travel to Devil's Tower and make models of Devil's Tower out of his mashed potatoes. A common language is not assumed, and the two species must learn to communicate with each other using music. Now, but seriously, if you've got this giant spaceship and you're coming down here, wouldn't you have been monitoring the Earthlings for like decades and know every single language there is? Whatever. Yeah, but still. So I made the mistake of reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy while I was sick with a chest cold. I laughed so hard it actually hurt. My first introduction to this story was the original British radio sitcom, which is hilarious. There have been several versions since. I am not a fan of the 2005 feature film with Alan Rickman. Just did not like that film. Invasions of the Body Snatchers, the scream heard around the world. This is a remake of a 1956 movie by the same title and is considered to be many fans the definitive and best version. An amorphous parasitic alien race abandons its dying planet and travels to Earth, taking the form of small seed pods with pink flowers upon settling. The pods create emotionless duplicates of humans. Yeah, Nimoy was in that, yeah. So the invasion of the body snatchers draws a parallel to the scientific hypothesis of panspermia, that life can be transported through space through various means and survive the trip to another world. So it's actually based on a scientific principle, even though it's creepy. Barlow's Guide to Extraterrestrials contains visualizations of different extraterrestrial life forms from various works of science fictions, with information on their planetary location or range, biology, and behaviors in the style of a real field guide for animals. It was nominated for the American Book Award for the 1980 Hugo Award for Best Related Work. I have a copy of this. I have an original copy of this. In another star system, humans encounter a creepy derelict ship. They also find an alien life form that's perfectly happy with using humans as hosts. This movie, it's science fiction horror. We brought this up to Michigan Tech, the Science Fiction Club, and we showed this at the theater downtown for a midnight show. And I took Connie in like 82 or 83. And after the dinner scene, she made me take her out of the theater crying. So, yeah, scary movies. Weyland-Yutani is the not so nice corporation behind the spacecraft in the movie Alien. In a humorous twist, the Weyland-Yutani logo makes Easter egg appearances in numerous other TV shows and movies. There's a logo right there. That's in Doctor Who. It's on this computer screen here in the movie Firefly. There are other instances, but that's just hilarious. So pay some homage to Alien. Disney's The Black Hole. With the huge success of Star Wars and Alien, Disney had to do a space movie. I asked my wife, "Hey Connie, do you remember Disney's movie The Black Hole?" She said, "Yeah, that movie sucked." I could not agree more. I found an article titled "Disney's The Black Hole, like stupid, but stupider." This movie depicts a black hole as the big drain in the sky, doing no favors to public perceptions of the black hole. Yeah.
The first 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes were good. Oh my gosh.
So it has a little bit of trivia. That is Disney's first movie that is not rated G.
Really?
Yeah, rated PG.
Yes, there's as you see, the ship has this large spine here, and there's one scene where this giant meteor decides not to just go through the ship, but follow a course right down the spine. I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much wrong with this movie. Ugh. So this is the first simulation of a black hole, created the same year as the movie, which looked amazingly like the thing that they came out with in 2020 when they actually did image the black hole. So not the big drain in the sky, that's what it was. So in 1980, then this came the TV series that changed everything again. Carl Sagan introduced an entire generation to astronomy and scientific discovery. I loved this series. Cosmos was produced way before CGI existed, so Carl would travel around in the cosmos in the ship of imagination that looked like a big starburst and a big set, and he took you to different places in the cosmos, and it was a fantastic series. And this is what introduced me to the Tunguska event of 08. Oh God, I'm embarrassed. I don't remember the year. Anyway, so Tunguska, yeah, that was a scary event. Learned it from Carl. Outland, 1981. The events in the movie Outland take place on a mining base on Jupiter's moon, Io. Sean Connery plays a marshal. Okay, here's how the movie depicted Jupiter as seen from Io. Right? Here's a simulation of what Jupiter looks like from Io in space engine. So not filling half the sky. And the other thing, and somehow everyone on the outpost doesn't die horribly of radiation sickness. The radiation environment around Jupiter is just nasty. Io's surface radiation level is 3,600 rem per day, 5 times the lethal dose. So whatever buildings they're in have a lot of radiation shielding, I guess. The radiation level on Callisto is about 0.01 rem per day. That's relatively low, so go to Callisto. That's much better. John Carpenter's The Thing is a 1982 American science fiction horror film starring Kurt Russell. It tells the story of a group of American researchers in Antarctica who encounter an extraterrestrial life form that assimilates and then imitates other organisms. This is a remake of the 1951 A Thing from Another World, and from what I hear, they're remaking it again, this time with modern CGI and stuff. And I think Carpenter is actually doing it again. V, the miniseries V from '83 dealt with alien visitors, actually invaders, here for our resources. Yep, the aliens were lizards. It was remade in 2009. I haven't seen the remake. E.T. the Extraterrestrial from '82 tells the story of a boy who befriends an extraterrestrial who's been stranded on Earth. E.T.'s species was found to have 6 base DNA, unlike Earth organisms, which have only 4. I always thought this was a significant plot point that was pretty much lost on the audience, that you had a 6-pair DNA base. Carl Sagan, my hero, wrote a book, so I had to read it. And in this book, a female astronomer discovers a signal from an alien civilization. The signal contains prime numbers and instructions for building a machine, sparking a global debate about the implications of first contact and leading to an international effort to build it. I seem to remember liking the book. Originally published in Omni, They're Made Out of Meat. The short story consists entirely of a dialogue between 2 intelligent beings sent to log and make contact with any sentient species they come across. One of them tells the incredulous other about the recent discovery of carbon-based life forms made entirely of meat. After conversing briefly about it, they both deem such beings and communications with them too bizarre and agree to erase the records and forget the whole thing. Author Terry Bissom is a Hugo Award-winning writer, but he did not win an award for this specific story. There's a couple different video versions of this on YouTube, and it's pretty hilarious. It's a short read. The 1997 movie version of Carl Sagan's Contact, Jodie Foster plays the astronomer who finds the alien radio signal. She finds the signal by listening to static in her headphones, which is ridiculous, but I'm sure explaining the intricacies of signal analysis to an audience is a bit much, so headphones it is. I took my daughter to see this movie and was amazed at how closely the movie followed the book. Some scenes were filmed at the Arecibo Radio Telescope years before it collapsed. Sigh. The 1984 film The Last Starfighter was one of the first films to make extensive use of computer graphics imagery. At an SF convention in Minneapolis, I attended a panel where one of the computer artists from this movie was talking about generating the frames, each frame for this movie, using a room full of computers and how slow it was. And one of the things that is in this movie that was amazing has an absolutely fantastic representation of redshift, blue shift when traveling at near light speed. I think I jumped out of my seat when I saw this, and everybody probably thought I was crazy. It was just fantastic. And it also has meteor guns used as a weapon. More like an asteroid gun, but yeah, they had it. So I'm pretty sure you guys have seen one of these eventually. Well, that's called an orrery, all right? It's a mechanical model of the solar system used in science classes to demonstrate the motions and relative motions of planets around the sun. They come in all shapes and sizes, and actually this might make a really interesting lecture for somebody. In Jim Henson's 1982 film, The Dark Crystal, there is a giant working mechanical orrery. Whatever it's showing, it's not from around here. This movie is labeled as a dark fantasy, but it has aliens and some astronomical underpinnings, so it gets a mention. This is a far cry from the Muppets that you're familiar with. There's a sequel series made in 2019 and it's on Netflix, and it's pretty good. Babylon 5. The first season of Babylon 5 started out pretty rocky, but then the series found its groove and went on to be arguably one of the best SF series ever made. One interesting theme from this series is that there have been a few alien races that have been around for 1 billion years, and they're screwing with the other ones. Babylon 5 won a ton of awards for a good reason. If you've never seen it, binge watch it. It's very good. Stargate. Love the music, love the concept. 1984 1994 movie. Archaeologists, like in 1902 or something like that, find a strange round object in Egypt made from an unknown material. Eventually, it's discovered that it's an alien device that creates a portal to another world. Cool. So what do? You go through that portal, right? They travel across the universe to another planet. Not sure why they had to cross the universe. Isn't our galaxy big enough? Explorers find themselves on a multi-mooned world with pyramids and humans. Language is a problem this time, not something the Star Trek had to deal with because they had a universal translator. And through the course of the movie, one of the protagonists has to learn the language. They also find high-tech authoritarian F-head aliens who fancy themselves the gods of ancient Egypt. Yeah, they're not very nice. When you got high-tech, you subjugate, right? Okay. The StarTAC is a series of clamshell-style cellular mobile phones marketed by Motorola beginning in 1996. They look vaguely like the original Star Trek communicator. No, they look exactly like it. They were actually used as a model.
Stargate, I read multiple sources actually today that Amazon is picking up the Stargate franchise and is making
A new Stargate?
a new series.
Really?
Not a remake, something new.
Independence Day. I want to hate this movie, but I just don't. Giant spaceships, alien invasions, impenetrable energy shields, destruction on a global scale with a bonus Area 51 thrown in. One thing I don't like about this movie is the apparent ease with which the genius protagonist was able to write a virus for an alien computer system. Other than that, I love this movie. Event Horizon. Ugh. Nothing to do with black holes. The events in the movie take place near the planet Neptune. That's the only reason you're getting a mention. Rescue crew is tasked with investigating the mysterious reappearance of a spaceship that had been lost for 7 years. It's science fiction horror, and I did not like it. Nope. Sliders was a TV series where the characters could travel to alternate universes through a portal-like device. In the movie, in the episode The Exodus, a pulsar entering the solar system is on a collision course to destroy the Earth. I found a hilarious article talking about this episode. It says, I will unabashedly tell you, I thought it was one of the worst pieces of television ever produced and a low point of the entire series, co-creator Tracy Torme said about this episode in 1997. But I remember it. I looked for the picture, so more neurons being wasted. Armageddon is not a cinematic. Armageddon is a cinematic asteroid disaster movie. Armageddon is not a serious movie. I never realized until the other day it was a Michael Bay movie, which explains all the explosions. An intrepid crew of completely unfit and untrained astronauts must land space shuttles on an asteroid. I just can't. I just can't. Oh God. Deep Impact. In the theaters the same year, another asteroid disaster movie. This movie at least tries to be serious. An intrepid crew of trained astronauts deflects most of an incoming asteroid, but a chunk does impact the Atlantic Ocean off the US, causing a gigantic tidal wave. The final scene from the movie depicts the White House being rebuilt after the tidal wave, which gives me hope for the East Wing.
Capital.
NASA's Deep Impact mission is not to be confused with the movie. The primary mission of NASA's Deep Impact was to probe beneath the surface of a comet. The spacecraft delivered a special impactor to the path of Comet Tempel 1 to reveal never-before-seen materials and provide clues about the internal composition and structure of a comet. So in this case, we hit them. And it worked. I actually know somebody who was on the team that worked on that.
Did they name that because of the film?
I don't think so, but I know someone I can ask. Disney's movie Dinosaur from 2000 has an absolutely fantastic and horrifying depiction of the Chicxulub impact as seen from the ground. The witnesses to that event, the characters in the movie, really should not have survived the shockwave. It was a fantastic scene. Oh my goodness. The movie Frequency from 2000 starts off with a coronal mass ejection blasting off the sun. During a particularly intense occurrence of the aurora, so we got the sun and aurora, that's how it gets here, right? During a particularly intense occurrence of the aurora, the protagonist has a brief conversation with another man over an old vacuum tube shortwave radio. The other man turns out to be his own father from 30 years ago using the same radio. The duo strive to solve a series of murders and accidentally change history in the process. This is actually a pretty good story. Now, why a coronal mass ejection in aurora would let us contact somebody 50 or 30 years in the past? I don't know, but in the year 2000, same as Frequency, Connie and I and numerous of our friends got together and erected a monument at the site of the Keweenaw Rocket Range. General Technics, those are my group of friends, the science fiction friends, PFRC, that's the Science Fiction Club at Michigan Tech, and NASA. The reason NASA is on there is because Glenn Swanson, the person that's going to be talking at our banquet, helped get this for the site and got us recognized. So NASA actually had a bit to do with that. So that's very cool. This site, this thing, a recent picture has a chunk like that taken out of it because people have hit it with their snowmobiles. With the snow out here, we might need to replace it eventually, but
Where's that located at?
the Keweenaw Rocket Range? Okay. Okay, if
at the tip,
here's
though.
the map of Michigan, it's right up there.
Oh,
It's way, and you need an off-road vehicle to get there. Oh yeah,
Is that
it's
like farther than Copper Harbor? All the
oh,
way
it's
to the east?
way past Copper Harbor. Yep. It's a beautiful site, and there's still part of there's still a couple rounds there. It's very cool. So John Scalzi, in John Scalzi's Old Man's War series, humans expanding into the galaxy find themselves surrounded by numerous alien races with whom they are in constant, violent state of competition. John Scalzi is a fantastic writer. He's very snarky on social media, and he shows up at local science fiction conventions. Now, apparently, Old Man's War is being adapted for Netflix, which I'm very excited about. The Martian, the good, orbital mechanics, ships with rotating toruses to provide artificial gravity. The bad, dangerous high wind storms on Mars. Other than that, this movie is fantastic. One of the funny scenes in this is when he gets that RTG and puts it in the rover to keep himself warm. In the game Kerbal Space Program, The RTG mentions here not to be used for providing heating during emergency rover excursions. Kind of a nod to that in the game. Cowboys versus Alien gets a splat. Oh God, oh my gosh. There are some movies you watch just to see if they can get any worse. This one didn't disappoint. Aliens come to Earth for our gold. It's resources again. When the aliens could have just mined it from asteroids and not had to deal with Earth's gravity well or those pesky humans. It gets a splat. Did not like. The Expanse novels and audiobooks are excellent. I cannot heap enough praise on the technical accuracy portrayed in the Expanse series when it comes to space travel and space combat. Watching the series, there are plenty of holy crap moments, and the authors were at one of our local science fiction conventions I attended. In the series, a head evil bad dude uses asteroids as projectile weapons against the Earth to devastating effect. And that brings us to something, and that asteroids hitting the Earth. In 2013, an asteroid blew up over Chelyabinsk Oblast in Russia. Over 1,500 people got injured, and there was quite a bit of property damage. In response to this event, a few months later, Barack Obama's White House hosted an online meetup called We the Geeks, and the guests included Lori Garver, Deputy Administrator of NASA, Bill Nye, Ed Lu, former astronaut and CEO of the B612 Foundation, Peter Diamandis, co-founder and co-chairman of Planetary Resources. They wanted to mine asteroids. Jose Luis Galache, astronomer at the International Astronomical Union's Minor Planet Center, whom I've been in contact with. Although asteroid defense was discussed, the one thing I took away from this that almost every one of them said that Star Trek and 2001 inspired them to go into astronomy, engineering, and aerospace.
Well, you saw that TV special where the captain from Star Trek, Kurt, he said Star Trek invented NASA, which is probably very true. Most of the astronauts, scientists, and everybody else, that was very inspirational.
I've talked to a lot of people that said that either Star Trek 2001 or both inspired them in some way or another. The movie Interstellar from 2014 won an Academy Award for the best visual effects, partly due to its scientific accurate depiction of the black hole Gargantua, according to the American Physical Society. After that, on the topic of black holes, they're starting to show up in a bit more in science fiction video now that we know what they look like. And this is an example of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Black holes have not ever been shown in Star Wars, although they have been mentioned. Universe Sandbox is a software game. It's marketed as a game, but it's a simulation software. Came out in 2015. It's a physics-based simulator that allows you to create, destroy, and explore celestial bodies and galaxies on an unimaginable scale. If you want to find out what happens if you throw Ceres at the moon, go ahead and do that. It's got current simulations of things that are happening. You can play God with this. It's very cool. Kerbal Space Program, which if you've known me at all, you've heard me blurt on about this endlessly. Released in 2015, it's a spaceflight simulation video game where players direct the space program of a species of green humanoid aliens known as Kerbals. You build rockets Lego style, launch them, get into orbit. You can build space stations, travel to other worlds, all using orbital mechanics you learn along the way. I've logged over 4,500 hours in this game and taught classes to middle schoolers in it. Once you understand the very basics of orbital mechanics, you realize that almost everyone gets it wrong in movies. So I can't count the number of movies. I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. My wife just shut up. Connie says that the movie Arrival really makes you think. Gigantic spaceships touch down around the world as nations teeter on the verge of global war. The protagonist, a linguist, leads a team of investigators to find a way to communicate with the extraterrestrial visitors. This movie has an absolutely fantastic scene where the linguist explains how complicated language actually is and how much we take it for granted. In Peter F. Hamilton's book Pandora's Star, scientists develop portal technology that allows for exploration out to 20 light years. Now just imagine what that would do to space exploration. The book starts off with the first crewed NASA landing on Mars. Almost immediately after the mission's captain set foot on Mars, a shimmering portal opens up in front of him, showing a lab back on Earth and a person in a makeshift spacesuit waving at them. The astronauts, after an 8-month journey, return to Earth in moments. The scientists become fabulously rich. I just found this picture today. Here's the Mars portal seen from the Earth side. This portal technology allows for interstellar exploration out to 20 light years, and the book has a very well thought out method of exploring extrasolar planetary systems using these portal technology, of course. In Pandora's Star, astronomers on now populated exoplanets watch as a star winks out. A mission is sent to investigate, and they find that the entire solar system has been encapsulated by an impenetrable force field. Who or what did this is unknown. It's a very creepy. It's very good. The way they describe it is very creepy. In 2016, the space game No Man's Sky was released with a resounding thud. Much of what was promised for the initial release was just not there, and it got boring really fast. However, the game wins the award for Most Amazing Comeback. Since release, there have been 20 free upgrades, and it now receives great reviews. And I've been playing this game for years, and blasting asteroids with your spacecraft is quite cathartic. No Man's Sky has living ships. As to say they take their likeness from 5 million years to Earth, although these ones are a little bit more friendly. The Bobiverse. This has to be my all-time favorite science fiction series. The first book came out in 2016. The protagonist, named Bob, computer programmer. I was a computer programmer, and an SF fan. He's attending a science fiction convention and attending a lecture at the convention from an astrophysicist talking about exploring the galaxy. I'm reading this going, oh my God, I am and have done all these things. He gets run over by a car and killed. That hasn't happened to me yet, thank goodness. So in this series, uploaded human intelligences pilot starships and expand out into the galaxy, initially only finding a couple pre-industrial civilizations until they find the other spacefaring civilization, the one that considers everything that's not them to be a resource. The author makes use of actual stars around Sol, and it's obvious he knows a lot about astronomy. And the author introduces a new planetary naming system based on the planet's position from the host star rather than the discovery number like we do it now, which makes a lot of sense. But if you're going to pop into a system and see everything at once, that's probably the way you're going to do it. The events in this movie take place around the planet Neptune. That's why it gets a mention. I haven't seen it, so moving on.
It has some interesting topics on them.
I have not seen it, so.
liked it. It was.
Well, okay, I'll watch it then. Space Engine is an interactive 3D planetarium and astronomy software that lets you go anywhere in the universe. It's amazing. I give demos with it all the time. It accurately portrays stars and planetary systems out to 6,000 light years, and everything past that is procedurally generated. The Kessler syndrome. Anybody heard that? This is Kessler syndrome, also known as the Kessler effect, collisional cascading, or ablation cascade, is a scenario proposed by NASA scientists Donald Kessler and Burton, I'm going to screw this up, Corpelius in 1978. It describes a situation in which the density of objects in low Earth orbit becomes so high due to space pollution that collisions between these objects cascade, exponentially increasing the amount of space debris over time. Space debris creates more space debris, creates more space debris, with the bonus effect of making any near-Earth space flight much more dangerous. The movie Gravity from 2020 is not a movie to watch if you have motion sickness. It has an insane representation of the Kessler syndrome, but the impactors were moving way too slow. I mean, they're sitting here and you can see the thing going by like that. No, these things are traveling 7 kilometers a second, so you're not seeing the impactor. This movie ignored orbital mechanics. The shuttle and the astronaut were on a, no, actually, wrong one. The shuttle and the astronaut were on a different orbital inclination than the International Space Station, which she just jetted over to using a maneuvering pack. I could take several minutes describing how orbital mechanics works and how that astronaut was not going to do that, but I'm not gonna. The astronaut also removed her spacesuit in just a few moments, which is hilarious because it takes like 45 minutes to get him on and off. I could go on. This movie, I was on a panel at a science fiction convention talking about the awful science in this movie. So it gets a splat. Published as a concept by NASA in 2020, the Lunar Crater Radio Telescope, which would be built on the far side of the moon, would be blocked from Earth's radiation and would be an excellent place to do radio astronomy. Does that make it science fiction? Well, kind of, maybe. I'd love to see it happen. It would be, and I'd love to say, hey, another instance of science fiction becoming reality. So I finished my second listen to Project Hail Mary like last week. This book is just fantastic. A movie adaptation will be coming out next spring. If you have not listened, the audiobook is fantastic. I love the audiobook reader. He does the Bobiverse books. I have not seen this movie, but it's been on when my granddaughter's been over, and I hear Carl Sagan's voice at the beginning and end of it. And I'm like, wait, is that Carl? So yeah, this is talking about, Carl talking about finding life in outer space.
Good movie. Watch it with your
My wife, she wanted me to watch it last night, and I'm like, I'm working on this presentation. So I have not seen it yet. So a lot of people's perception about astronomy and science and space science are shaped by the preponderance of science fiction available today, and that's a problem. But it's not science fiction's problem. The science fiction is not an avenue to find the truth. If it does convey some truth along the way, great, but that's not the responsibility of the science fiction author. Rather, that's why we need good science teachers and people like members of this society to teach the general public what's really true about astronomy and space science and what's fiction. And with that, thank you very much. 189 slides. Wow.
Let's do.
And I said, I've got like 5 slides I didn't put and 5 more I thought of on the way here. So there's a lot of good SF out there, and there's a lot of really terrible SF out there. But yeah, like Connie said when she was here in July, a lot of her students think we've been to Mars, or why can't we go to the nearest star? So this is why we need good science teachers.
So what were your little symbols? I kind of didn't pick up until later. So
let's see. Technology.
Okay.
Death. I have aliens.
Alien.
And I have one Saturn for space.
Okay, well, the Saturn. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was.
I need to have a rocket. I need to have a rocket one for like space science stuff.
The splat was like rotten.
Rotten. That's the Rotten Tomato splat. So any questions? Yes.
Question. You left out, how do you have left out one of the best science fiction and
I left out so many things.
science fiction convention movies? Paul.
Yeah.
Paul, oh my goodness. You know what? I've seen the first. I started watching Paul the other day, and I'm like,
Pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
These guys from England are excited about coming to the United States. And I'm like, not anymore, they aren't. Not aging well.
Nick Frost.
But yeah, Avatar, I didn't put Avatar. I said, what other slides do I have on here that I didn't put? Mission of Gravity. This was a book by Hal Clement where there's aliens on the surface of a neutron star. Hal Clement was an author from the local area. He was at local science fiction conventions, and he loved my kids. Every time he was like the second grandpa to my kids at this local science fiction convention. The time tunnel, right? I asked Google, was there aliens in time? Yeah, there's aliens in time tunnel, so that gets a mention.
Battlestar Galactica.
Talk about what's your favorite
What movie?
book, movie, book?
The Bobaverse. The Bobaverse books is my favorite all-time series. Let's see, that 2016. That is Dennis E. Taylor. It's the guy named Bob, right? The thing, beginning of the book, he's just signing a contract to have his head frozen if he dies, and then he dies, and then he wakes up, but it's not him anymore. His consciousness, they thought him out, scanned his brain and put it in a computer, and he becomes the operating intelligence of the spacecraft. Now he's like, I should be horrified, but this is awesome. So yeah, the Bobaverse series is fantastic.
Isaac Asimov in the 60s predicted self-driving cars.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
And William Gibson predicted the internet in the 80s. Those are science fiction novels.
You know, I saw Forbidden Planet at Redwood Theater on the big screen.
Oh my goodness.
If it ever comes back, you guys should see it. But that, from what I understand, is actually a remake of Shakespeare's The Tempest.
It is.
It is. Yep.
It is.
That's the oldest movie that I kind of like. I generally don't like old films. They're too melodramatic, but I thought that was well done. So if they go, 56?
Yeah, something like that. 56,
Yeah.
57. Yeah, that was actually, I live with my mother-in-law, right? We take care of Connie's mom. And so she watches a lot of movies. And I'm downstairs working, and I'm hearing a theremin. I'm like, they used the theremin extensively, for the music and sound in Forbidden Planet. And so I'm like, go upstairs. I'm like, you're watching Forbidden Planet. God, my mother-in-law, it's cool.
Forbidden Planet was inspiration for Star Trek.
Yeah.
The spaceship in Forbidden Planet's from the United Planets cruiser
Mm-hmm.
57D.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it?
I'm shocked you know the name of that.
Have you seen the movie?
Wow.
I like science fiction too. And of course, Star Trek is the United Federation of Planets. And Robbie is sort of like Spock.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So and Roddenberry won't
find
he
it.
doesn't always admit it, but he people have talked to him about it in the past, and he got a lot of the inspiration from that film.
All right, so yeah, I've been a science fiction fan my entire life, but I was born in the space age and had a lot of science fiction in my face all the time. So, and then I met the coolest group of people at college who took me to science fiction conventions, and met my future boss at a science fiction convention. And
That was that guy.
brother guy, I met him in 1982 at a WindyCon. He was talking about the science of meteoritics and how they were studying meteorites at the Vatican Observatory. He was curator of meteorites then. He was not director of the observatory. But I think it was that same convention in Chicago. I brought my telescope, and no, that wasn't that same one, but there was a convention in Chicago in 2000-ish. I set my telescope up, and I could see the moon and a planet. That was it. That was all I could see. That's, yeah, the light pollution is caused.
Hi, Bob.
All right. Thank you. All right, so oh geez, I gotta do the finale thing here. Okay, so our next star party is in 2 days, next Saturday. Our next meeting is December 1st at Cranbrook. Our next board meeting is next week, guys, Monday. And afterwards, we meet at the National Coney Island, Van Dyke, north of 12 Mile for gastronomy after astronomy. I'm going. See you there. How many are going? With that, the meeting's over. Good night.
So for the banquet, should we just like email?
PayPal it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Bob,
Hey, what?
you mentioned that Star Trek in 2001 inspiration.
A lot of people said that to me.
I have 2 degrees in engineering.